Welcome back to another GeekaWhat video. Today I'm taking you over Cooler Master's brand new Seidon V3 Plus. This is a 120mm all-in-one liquid cooler. When a name has V2 or V3 at the end, it normally means one of two things. That the first product was hugely successful and they're constantly improving on that and using that kind of design base. And the other is that the product was hugely successful in its first iteration and they're simply milking that established product line to make more profit out of it. So let's kick it off with a physical overview, then explore whether this CPU cooler actually warrants that V3 Plus on the end. Now I've actually got two included fans. These are two 120mm fans and these resonate more and are more similar to the stock fans you would get included on a case, for example, rather than their high-end fans that we saw on their Master Liquid Pro 240 that we looked at back a couple of weeks ago. Now I can't blame them for this, as this is their lower end liquid cooler line and this is kind of the liquid cooling for budget, kind of the budget price point if you will. These are however red LED fans. You've got the red blade with the black outer line. These aren't RGB of course, so if you did have a system that isn't red, this probably isn't right for you. We've also got a 120mm radiator and this FEP tubing which is carried down from their more expensive products. We first saw it in their Neptune 120XL and it's being brought down here, so it's an established feature that clearly works well. The first thing you will have and notice is that this FEP tubing is much thinner than on products we've seen before. The 240mm radiator does need thicker tubing, obviously because it's a 240mm rad and it has more liquid in. However, the Neptune 120XL I looked at had this same thicker tubing. Now this thinner tubing is going to allow for less water flow to go through and the higher speed is going to be needed in order to kind of replicate the amount of water and the quality of the cooling. On the plus side, however, this tubing is great. It's super duper flexible, it doesn't kink, it is quite quiet, I think it looks quite nice as well, and it fits in those tiny little gaps. Great for mini ITX systems, a build guide for which I've got coming up very soon. Moving down to the Waterblock, we've got a black and a grey finish with the Cooler Master logo imprinted nicely on the top. We also have a red LED light, but this is more of a concentrated light spot as opposed to illuminating the whole of the water block. The block has this micro channel technology which Cooler Master claimed to provide twice the surface area, ultimately resulting in better performance because the cold liquid, the cold water inside of the tubes, and essentially has twice as much time and twice as much surface area to touch that copper base plate which is going to cool your CPU. In terms of mounting this CPU cooler, it wasn't too bad. The mounting system essentially uses a back plate with 4 screws depending the position depending on the CPU socket. We've got very wide scale CPU socket support with all the mainstream AMD and everything Intel related for around the past kind of 5 to 10 years. So you are completely covered here. The mounting kind of design, if you will, could be a little bit better. The screw simply slots straight through the motherboard and the back plate can be slightly loose. It's very reliant on you tightening those nuts on top of the water block, which is keeping that water block close to your motherboard quite tight, and the slot to use a screwdriver isn't the greatest in the world. It would have been nice to see a better grip on here if you're going to use your thumbs and ultimately a better way to use a screwdriver to tighten these up. You also could be quite reliant on the back panel of your case or the side panel pushing that back plate against the motherboard, so just be careful when you're installing it. I'd also recommend doing this outside of the case before you install the motherboard, which you may find harder, but I found much easier in this scenario. Overall though, I didn't find it too bad mounting wise and it was pretty fast, something I can't say for some of Cooler Master's other products, but this one did the job just perfectly. So overall, is this V3 Plus just a bit of a joke? Does it really need a V3? Was V1 not good enough? Now unfortunately I don't have a V1 to test against a V3, however I do think it is a worthy upgrade. If you have the V1 or the V2, you don't need the V3. I wouldn't recommend upgrading, it isn't that much of an upgrade. However, if you haven't had one yet, there really is no point in buying the V1 or 2 because V3 here, well V3 Plus is here, sorry, and this is definitely going to be the worthy option. Now if you're looking at going a high-end air cooler or this low-end kind of liquid cooler, which comes in around £50 UK price, so probably around $70, then it is quite a difficult decision. These red LEDs may be a little bit tacky and a little bit cheap to many people's tastes, however they may go with your system very well and may add a slight bit of an accent if your system colours are black and red. Overall the cooling performance was pretty good. You've already seen that earlier on in the video, so you can compare that as you will with the other CPU coolers that I showed on screen. But overall, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to drop a like rating, and if you did enjoy this video, please do hit that subscribe button. Leave any comments, questions, queries or suggestions in the comments section below. Hit me up on Twitter at GeekaWhat, but as always, we'll see you in the next GeekaWhat video.